Hello, Pro Stylers. I decided to redo the skeleton tutorials with the new version of Pro Styler Evo, just so that I can recap all of that. And at the same time, I decided to update my old version, this one that I have here, which I removed a few things, by the way. For example, I had rollovers here and so on, just because I wanted to show you how to do them. But while I was doing the tutorial, I found out that there were some things that that Mikey, probably by purpose, maybe to make it more easier, I don't know, decided to simply ignore. For example, we have here the rollover, which is simply the text that changes color. But the original template that we used is this one, and this one has instead rollovers here, and we have bars underneath it when it's the current page. Okay, so a little bit more like this one here. Okay, which uses simply, in this case, I've put an underline, the bar under. Just realize that we do have the green when we mouse over it. So anyway, I'm going to change that. And we have, for example, few animations here as well. So I need to refresh the page. Pardon me, by the way, I have a lot of problems with my Chrome browser sometimes that doesn't load images or CSS. So it might happen sometime when I reload a page that you don't see it the right way. So pardon me, you see here the images didn't load. So that's only my Chrome browser. I don't know what's going on with it. So anyway. Okay, so you see there was a little animation here. So we have animations here for the icons as well. And another animation here for the blog. And that's about it. Also, we have a little kind of back to top here that we didn't talk about in the tutorial. And when we scroll down, we have that menu that sticks to the top, but we still have the logo, which is not the case in the tutorial that we have with Mikey. So these are a few things that I'd like to address. So the first thing, I did add some animations here in my page. So I'm gonna need to refresh it to see the animations. So we do have a parallax effect here and so on. See, I did have an animation here. I have animations here as well for that. I had an animation here that we don't have in the original one. And other animations here, I moved from bottom to top, so not exactly the same animation as the original page, but anyway. So first of all, these are pretty simple. We can do that directly with ProStyler. So if I open my home page, just to show you how that was done. So remember that every item can be animated. So in this particular case, I animated the first of all the social buttons here. So social buttons are just superstar team. So these are the social icons here. Okay, so if I edit that element, you know that we already put some things here. We have the styling tab here, and we also have the advanced tab where we can put some animations as well. Okay, so in the case for animations, it's in the styling tab. So as you can see here for this one, I simply have the slide from right, which is the same animation as the original one. So just chose this one, add the slide in from right, and did that for all of my icons list that I have there. Okay, so did that for all of the three here. Then similar for this one, which is the list box here. So we have an animation on that one as well. So this one is set to slide in from left, and the other one, the list box 2, is set to slide in from right. So it does the opposite as the other. So one goes on one side and the other one goes on the other side. So that's how easy it is to do in ProStyler. Also the blog on the bottom. So on the blog we had the latest post from us. I think that was the oops, that's the heading, sorry. So it's not the heading that I want, it's what's underneath it. So the blog element here. And this one has a slide from bottom. We have different choices to choose from, so all slides except one that is fade in. So I decided to use the slide from bottom in this case. So this is for the animations. Now I want to move one step further. First of all, if you take a look at this one, like I said, when you scroll the page, you have that fixed tab bar at the top with the menu element and the logo. So if you did the ProStyler training, you know that we can add that sticky nav bar at the top here, but the icon, the logo disappears. Okay. If we use another page that uses the regular ProStyler theme, okay, that doesn't use a custom one with a blank page, it doesn't have that same effect. As you can see, if I scroll, I still have my logo. It's smaller, but it's still present. Okay, but as soon as we use the blank template, it's not possible anymore. So there are two ways to bypass that problem here. The first way is to go into Appearance and Theme Editor, and you will have to do that manually. Okay, this is one way. By the way, I'm using a plugin here called WP Editor that adds some line number, color changes, and things like that. So different tools that also allows you to see subfolder elements and so on. So I really recommend that if you work with the code, that you use a plugin like this one. But it's not required to do the changes that I want to change now. So in this particular case, what I need is the blank template, because that's the one that we use, so template blank. And as you can see here, we have a little comment that says that it disables the header by putting that to false. So if we get rid of that line here, by putting two slashes like that, it comments the line, so I don't really remove it permanently, just to put it as a comment and update the file or save the file. Then you will see what it does if I refresh that page here. So now we have two bars. Okay, so of course we don't want it like that. So of course we don't want it like that. So one thing that we can do is simply use that default header instead of ours. Of course, then that means that we will have to go inside our settings and use the settings for the header just as we would do with the default template. So for example, if we want to have the sticky bar, we will use this setting, because of course if we use the default template, we don't use this one. Change the link colors and so on and so on. So for example, current item color, if I want to change it to this one, and so on and so on. Disable the text shadow, maybe text color, which was the dark gray, and so on. So just to say that we use the regular settings that we have here simply. Okay, and of course we still have to menu, if you do it like that, to headers to be more precise. So what we want to do is get rid of the header that we have in our pages. So in other words, the skeleton header that we have here, we don't use that anymore. So if I go inside my skeleton in this case, I'm going to edit that page and simply get rid of that sidebar header skeleton page here. So get rid of that, save my page, and then I'm revert back to using the default tab bar. So if I refresh my page, Of course, I still need to change that page here, remove the transparency, maybe things like that. But just to show you that now we use the default top bar. Okay, so if I wanted to put that black, I can remove that line, of course, here, because right now I'm using the default settings. So of course in our skeleton we don't have that black top bar, so I would have to remove it. But this is in the header, so disable the top bar, yes. Then the background opacity, if you don't want to have the transparency, will be set back to 100%. And I'm going to wait for that to refresh. So if I refresh my page, now we're on the top. Could get rid of those lines in the background and so on. So change the color to set back to white, no image, and so on. So don't want to spend much time on that. Just understand how it works. So this is the first way that we can have that sticky bar with the logo back inside of it. The other way, I'm going to go back and change things that I did here. So gonna go back there and in my blank template, remove the comment that I've put previously. Removing those two bars here, saving the file. So of course now I'm back with no menu at all, no top bar at all. So I'm gonna go back to my page and add it back. My skeleton home page. Simply add a new item, new row. And I'm gonna add to upload it, put it higher many times. Now of course when the skeleton was created, by the way, we were using sidebars, so that's the way that skeleton will still work for now. Maybe there will be an update at some point, but for now if you're using the skeleton, this is how it will be done. Of course if you're using your own custom elements, then you don't need to go with the sidebars. Or even if you use a skeleton like I'm doing right now and I'm adding back my header, I could still use of course the page embed, which is in beta mode, but it works the same way. Okay, so I can use this one and just choose the page. It will work the same way. So skeleton, skeleton header, and this will be my header. Click save, save my page, and it will bring back my top bar, top header. All right. So now the next thing that I want to do, show you how to do that with the scroll here, but keeping our logo like I said. I'm going to change it a little bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come to my home page. I tried to do that directly in the header and it doesn't work the same way. So that's the only drawback. You will have to do that on each and every page that you create using the header. Of course you can build a template for that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that, edit the row itself. And I'm going to add an ID to it. And the reason I'm going to add an ID is to be able to target that directly with CSS. And for those of you who've seen my video on CSS and MicroThemer, you know that CSS in ProStyler, the default one, sometimes can change. So I want to use that directly like that. I'm going to save it. So now my first row has an ID of header. I'm going to save my page. And you will see that directly, I'm going to refresh the page and you will see directly that this will change. The logo will get smaller and the menu here will get smaller as well, or we move to the center. So refresh the page. Okay. So So just need to do one more thing. Forgot about that. Sorry. We need to make another step. But by putting the ID like that and the next code that I'm going to put, you will see that it will at the same time transform the logo automatically. So there's probably some code somewhere else that I didn't take the time to look into all the code, but you will see how it works. Now, to make it simpler, I'm going to use microthemer so that you don't have to write code. If you want to write code, there's no problem doing so, of course. You can write code directly in the general settings of ProStyler. You can write code for just one page, or you can write a code for all the pages by going in the custom CSS code here. But for those of you who don't know CSS and don't want to make a change, save it, go see how it looks like, make another change, save it, go see how it looks like, and so on, there's a plugin called Microthemer that can help you with CSS, or with the look of your page, in other words. So if you know me, you know that I'm a big fan of that plugin. So there's a free version available if you do a add plugin, and I really encourage you to use the developer version, which is really cheap, $90 for lifetime, with lifetime updates and so on. So really cheap compared to what we get. So Microthemer here. The light version is free. Now it has been updated to 15 selectors with the light version. So will probably be enough for most of you, since a lot of things can be done directly in ProStyler. But still, personally, I encourage you that you use the developer license. If it's not that you need it, it can be simply to encourage the development of it, because of course, if the author never makes money with that, he will not be able to continue the production of it. But anyway, so that's just a personal opinion. I like to help people that do that create good software, and $90 for lifetime access, lifetime update is really not something. With developer license, of course, is really not something expensive. So that's an opinion. Anyway, by the way, if you buy it through my link, you're going to have access also to a whole training on Microthemer and CSS itself, and even some WordPress tips. All right, so it's installed. So I'm gonna open it, Microthemer here. So right now I use the free version because I just installed it, but if you have bought the version like I did, you can just click unlock here. You enter your email address and you unlock it. So I won't do that on the video because I don't want you to see, of course, the email address that I'm using for that. But let's just do it together. So like it says here, double click on anything on the page to restyling it. So I'm gonna click here because that's the header that I want, in fact. So I'm gonna go to the inspector to find the header itself. So move one way until I go to the header div. Div row ID header. This is what I want. That's why I created an ID header. Okay, go back to my targeting. I'm just gonna select the div header itself. If you want to know more about Microthemer, by the way, there's a lot more detailed training, of course. So this is mostly for people that already know a little bit about Microthemer. If you don't know, go get my other videos. So here I'm going to simply say that it's going to be my header, or header bar, let's say. And I'm going to put that into the header folder. I'm going to click create selector. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to come here to the position section. I'm going to change the default relative to fix. And just by doing so, it's going to be fixed. The problem is that it's behind my revolution slider. So to change that, I need to come to my z-index here and put a higher number. The default is 0. So if I put 1, you're going to see, by the way, to refresh and save automatically. I'm going to see that 1 is not enough, but 2 is. Okay, so it refreshes, goes on the top. So in my case, I'm going to put a little bit more than that. I'm going to say, for example, sometimes we put big number like 100 or 1000 just to make sure that if we have other elements later on, for example, down the page, that it doesn't go on top of it. So now we're on top, And if we scroll, as you can see, it never changes any space. Now there's a little bug that I don't have here. There's a little space here, so probably there's some padding somewhere. Maybe I didn't put the element on the same plane. As you can see, I have a padding of 10 pixel here, so I'm gonna get rid of that. So, well, the real thing is that this padding comes from, let's go back to my ProStyler here. This padding comes from the row that I had added. So usually when you add a row like the one for header here, by default there was no padding on it. So since I added a new row, there was some padding that I forgot to remove. Whoops, sorry, not that page. When I added my skeleton header back to my skeleton home, I forgot to remove the space, the padding surrounding the row. So this is where you should do that. Whether you have micro themer or not, you can simply get rid of that padding here. So padding top 0, padding bottom, and of course if you want you can keep the left and right, but I think that by default there's no padding, so I'm gonna get rid of them. So I can go back to micro themer and remove the rule that I just created. Now it doesn't take into account the changes that I just made, so I'm going to refresh my page simply, and you're going to see that this padding should be gone. Here we go. So when we scroll, as you can see, it's always there. The difference is because there's probably some other rules that affect that somewhere. You will see that the logo is smaller, but it's about the same size as when we scroll. So maybe I could remove some spacing here with these two spacers that we have. And you'll see that the menu has moved closer to the center. So again, I could use some other technique, CSS technique, to move that back to the right if I wanted to. But that's just to say that this is another technique possible. So depending on what you need, one or the other technique can help you. So I'm going to simply leave it like that for now, and we're going to create another video. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to change that to put the line underneath the current page. I will probably go back to the other default way of using here my my header. So in other words, I'm going to simply get rid of that header ID here, just so that it removes my CSS. Because like I said, there are two ways to do it. So right for now, I'm going to simply get rid of that that thing here, and go back to my default bigger logo and menu on the right. Alright, so see you in the next video. Thank you.